Welcome to the Sub Hub podcast. I'm Dani Moreno.
And I'm Emkay Sullivan. And today we're going to do a bit of a rundown. We had a lot of races happening this last weekend, if you guys listened to our most recent episode, as well as the beginning of Golden Trail series this coming weekend. So we've got a bit to cover today.
Yeah, I mean, we alluded to it the last couple episodes, but April is freaking so power packed with races and events and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll get into that. But first off, MK, how was your week? How are you feeling?
I'm good. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram or have been paying attention, I finally announced that I am pregnant.
What? I'm just kidding. I knew the whole time.
This is Dani's first time finding out, you guys.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that is huge news. Oh my gosh. So anyone who's been stalking MK and Strava and wondering what the heck is going on, he's growing a human in her belly.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, obviously, we all follow each other on Strava and you like things and you're always on there. But like, I didn't realize how much people paid attention to my training until this last couple months. The amount of times that people have been like, "Are you hurt?" And I'm like, "No." Like, it depends on the person what, excuse I've been coming up with. Some people I'm just like, "No, I'm pregnant." Like, but then other people I'm like, "No, we're just, kind of chilling out before we build up into, the big stuff this summer." Because it is a big thing. I'm training to like grow and have a baby. So
You are actively growing. You've been growing. And I think
yeah,
for the Strava thing, I think it's like it depends on the athlete and you are very transparent with your training. So when you aren't, people are like, what's wrong? Versus like if you weren't. And you're
yeah. And I'm
yeah.
pretty much always somebody who's running like around 80 miles a week. And for like 6 weeks after Black Canyon, I was running like 20 to 35 miles. And then it was like, okay, well now I'm running 50. Maybe people will stop asking me that question. And it was like, still no, not enough apparently.
So, you guys, I have been waiting a very long time to share this incredible fact. But MK got a golden ticket while she was pregnant. Like, her baby is the first golden ticket winner from what we know. The youngest golden ticket winner ever at like, what was that, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
3.5, yeah, 3.5, 4 weeks, something like that. So it's
That
like
has to be the youngest. Like, that's crazy.
the little guy was like the size of a poppy seed and like draining the life from me for the rest of that month. So it's crazy. Yeah, looking back on Black Canyon, I'm like, that makes like a decent amount of sense because I was like really, feeling flat and tired out there. I'm thankful I got it done still because, we're gonna give some like huge, huge praise. Shout out to Western States here, because their pregnancy deferral is awesome.
Yeah.
I get to use it any year I want. I don't have like a timeline. Like UTMB still has a really good one. It's 5 years. I have to use my qualification within 5 years. But yeah, Western States is like whenever. Hopefully, I come back before then, but you just never know. So
That's really cool. Yeah,
yeah.
it was an interesting situation for like MK to dive into because like we just said, like this was probably the first woman to like earn a ticket while pregnant.
I
Um
think I am the first golden ticket winner to use a pregnancy deferral. I'm not the
yeah,
first like top there have been top 10 women who have used it,
yeah.
but I think I might be the first one. So we weren't sure like
What
who it rolled
happened?
down to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like if it went to the wait list or not. So if someone out there finds themselves in a similar situation, what we learned was if she deferred it by or got the
Before
pregnancy
May 1st.
before May 1st, it rolled down, but if not, then it went to the wait list. Which
Yeah.
like yeah, like opened my brain at least to this whole world of like having equal elite spots because I think
Yeah.
that is important. Like I think it's, as important for all the folks that have been waiting for years, but like if so many women, because we're the ones that get pregnant, like are doing pregnancy deferrals and that takes off half of the field, it needs to be replenished in some way.
Yeah.
Then yeah,
Because those are guaranteed spots. Like a top 10 rolls down to general wait list, which makes sense because
yeah,
if a top 10 person was just like, I don't want to come back, it rolls down to a wait list. So
yeah.
Yeah, top 10 spots roll down to general, and golden tickets roll down to the next person. But kind of same thing as if it was in the race. For races that have two tickets, it only rolls down to fifth place, and for races that have three tickets, it only rolls down to sixth. So at Black Canyon, the tickets went through fourth, and sixth place was actually Aquilano, sorry, Shay, who already has a spot at Western States. So Abby Hall was the only person who would have been available for a ticket anyways.
But she finished in front of Shay, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
But like
about
it
you?
wouldn't have rolled down to Shay because she already has a spot.
How about you share your like what you did for
Yeah, I was like kind of unsure about if it was going to roll down. So when I sent my deferral to Craig, I was like, just out of curiosity, like, what happens now? And he told me that, he would offer the ticket to Abby Hall and then she would get the opportunity, to take it or not. And so I called Abby because she and I had like a real day out there at Black Canyon, at least for like the first 50K. Like, I felt like I leaned on her a lot for just like support in a very quiet, nonverbal way. And so I called her and just like told her that I had turned in my deferral for Western States. And I think, for a second, she probably thought I was hurt because she was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, no, it's because I'm pregnant. And I'm like, the spot rolls down to you. And she was like, oh my gosh, it does. So that was cool that like it got to roll down to Abby since we had like that experience out there together.
Yeah, that's super special. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. Um,
Yeah. So
s-
we'll be
so what's next now that you have shared with the world?
Yeah, it's so nice to the best part about this being done is like I don't like the amount of people that have said, "Oh, so Western States is next." And I'm like, Broken Arrow VK is actually next, which is not a lie. But I'll still do Broken Arrow VK. It may be, a walk. I don't know what I'm gonna look like or feel like at that point. Because that's end of June. And I will still be at Western States. Tommy and I will crew Ida Nielsen again, which I'm very excited about that. And I am hoping to do Twisted Fork the weekend before Broken Arrow VK. Just depends on if I want to drive down there by myself or not. Um, yeah, so I'm still gonna try to race a couple of times, but mostly I think I'll be out there just for fun, vibing. Because I do think I'd get like training is not honestly as fun when I don't have like a big goal on the horizon. So yeah, I think signing up for stuff is still a good idea for as long as I can.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea until you're like, that's enough. I'm gonna
Yep.
rest now.
And then I plan to my dad is doing his first big backpacking trip in August. And I feel like in July I will probably not be trail running anymore. I'll probably be like road running and just hiking uphill. And
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna be like the perfect training partners. You're gonna have your weighted pack, I'll have my weighted belly, and we'll go hiking together.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So
Dang, well
that's
there
what's
you
next.
yeah, there you go, folks. The big
I'm not
secret is
hurt.
out. MK's not hurt. Yeah, no, huge congrats to you and Tommy. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excited. But enough about me. Little update on you from this last weekend because we talked about how this was going to be your first race back, and then we had a little unfortunate snafu.
Wah,
Give us an
wah.
update.
Yeah, I was cooling down on Tuesday. I was like super excited. I'm like, I'm gonna crush it this weekend. Can't wait to race. And I was trying on different shoes. And we have a lot of kitty litter in the Eastern Sierra, which is just like thick sand. And it's something I've always really enjoyed running down. And there's this hill near where I did my tune-up workout. And I was like, oh, I'll just run up there really quick and then bomb it back down and I'll be done with my cool down. And I just wasn't paying attention. And the ankle did exactly what it did in Chamonix, which was really scary in the moment. And I didn't realize like how much emotion I had still like tied to that my foot rolling that way. Like it was very scary. And yeah, so I kind of like sat down and was quickly chanting myself like this is what you've been training for. This is what you've been training for. And I stood up and I was like, fudge, I cannot walk. But I felt the side that took me so long to recover and it felt okay. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Hopefully we didn't tear the inside tendon. But yeah, I think it just like if this would have been like before my injury, it would have been like, oh, I just rolled my ankle again. But having had just gone through what I'd gone through, like my immediate response is like, well, I tore something. But anyways, long story long, that wasn't the case. But I couldn't run downhill. I like traveled to Lake Sonoma, tried like a test trial run, and I just like couldn't turn, couldn't run on unvaried terrain, and just felt like, you know what? I've waited 8 months. Why would I do this on my first race back? Like, it's just not worth it. And it was already going to be a big effort because I haven't run anywhere near that distance or time yet or that length of intensity. And I was like, why would I do that recovery and also potentially like set my foot back like weeks? So yeah, decided not to race. So it was both like, it was a pretty easy decision, I think, relatively.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like tried to help you when Dani told me on Tuesday that she'd rolled her ankle. I was like, you've come to the right person here. All the
Yeah,
things that I would
yeah.
suggest doing. But I think in the long run, like this wasn't your A race, so it's not worth the rest of your season. Because if we've learned anything from MK, it's if you go in with a little bit of a limp, you're gonna come out the other side with a worse one. So, oh no, yeah.
No, definitely.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
how was your the women's initiative that you worked on?
That, I mean, that was the best part of the weekend. I think even if I raced, that was going to be the highlight of my weekend. But what was, a blessing in disguise was I actually got to watch them all like finish and, cheer them on. And yeah, there's one woman who it was her first trail race ever and she just like absolutely smashed it and loved it. And yeah, Lake Sonoma, man, is like a really sick event. Almost everyone I talked to said the course was freaking hard. So now that I've seen it in person, like I get the like relentless thing. Because kind of like Canyon's 50K, you get breaks, in between the climbs ish, like in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Like snow, excuse me, you're going up or you're going down. Um, but yeah, the women there were just like so sweet, and they had like this camping weekend, and it was yeah, just a nice celebration to the end of it, which was cool. Yeah, the women. This was one of the funniest things. I was by the finish line, and this guy came up to me. He's like, there's a lot of women racing today. And I was like, yeah. And I just like wasn't putting two and two together. He's like, do you know when like the men are gonna come through? And I was like, oh, so there's a women's only race. Like, and he's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Just like all these women just smashing the men, but actually it was just
Love
like,
it.
yeah.
Love it. Maybe he was like, maybe they started 30 minutes
Yeah.
later. I don't know.
It was really funny.
That is funny. Well, I'm glad you got to do that either way. So, like going down there, you still had a purpose. It was good.
Yeah,
And you got to meet my coach in person for the first time.
yeah, it was. So I got asked to do aid stations for our team because obviously I wasn't racing and I jumped in at the opportunity. And I was like, Stephen Kirsch ended up winning the men's 50 mile in a really close freaking race. But they were ahead of schedule or ahead of splits that he had given us like all day. But I was at the first aid station he could get aid. And I told my husband, Mike, I was like, we gotta hurry. So he like dropped me off and I start jogging. I see this guy like get out of a car behind me and kind of like start following me. And I was like, is this guy like trying to race me? And so I couldn't really run, but I was kind of shuffling and like keeping an eye on him. I was like, I'll throw down if I have to. I'm kidding. But then I had to tie my shoe and this guy passed me, like didn't, and I was like, okay, this guy is trying to race me to the aid station. So I start jogging again. But then I had to tie my shoe again as soon as I caught up to him. And I was like, dang it, this guy's gonna beat me. Just like my own 5 minute race. And then he turns to me, but the sun is in my eyes, and he says, are you Dani? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm Rick. I was like, oh, you're MK's coach. Cool. It was
That's so
pretty
funny.
funny. So yeah, I felt like MK all weekend because Helena Faulkner was there cheering on her partner Jake Banta, who was in the marathon, and then Rick had a couple other athletes he was coaching that he was supporting out there. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Just my stand-in for the weekend.
Exactly.
Well, that's we'll go over some Lake Sonoma. results as well here in a second. But I was gonna have you do the never second ad, originally because I was like, what did Dani end up doing in her race? But I'll throw something in since you
Yeah,
didn't
give them
get to
some
race,
love.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, like my training's a little weird right now, but I did realize that once was able to actually start running over an hour again, that I was getting so hungry. Like anytime I would hit 60 minutes and like go any further, and I was probably running like 75 to 90 minutes, but I was like, holy shit, I'm starving out here. So I started using nutrition during runs again for my longer days, and I have been per usual, mostly just using the C30 drink mix because I am also just generally kind of dehydrated all the time now. So I'm taking lots of water on runs. I'm mixing it with carbs so that I'm like not starving when I'm finishing. And then I've been slamming the P30 protein because pregnant women have to take in a lot of protein, and I'm realizing how little I apparently take in anyways. And
How much do you
so
think you're having per day?
I think I was probably having close to like 40 to 50 grams, but I'm supposed to be close to like 100 now,
Holy cow.
which is a lot. So
That's
I
so
do
much.
use protein powder quite a bit to supplement for that. And so never second P30, one serving right there, 30 grams of carbs or protein. I'm so used to saying carbs. Done and dusted. So if you guys are looking for a protein powder or carbs for your run, make sure you guys go to neversecond.com. That's never number2.com. And our code is subhub25 for 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, that's sick. Feeding for two. Um,
Yeah.
I did also before we get into the results, so like I after the race on Saturday, I decided to come home early because I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna go to a gym in Lake Sonoma. Like I just need to get home. And I decided to take out my new Poseidon bike for a ride. It's like a gravel hybrid. Um, Holy cow, that thing is the nicest bike I've ever had. I've had a couple other Poseidon bicycles, but this now is easily my favorite, and it's oh shoot, I need to find the name of it. It's basically like their new gravel hybrid, but if you are interested, because now it's spring season, especially if you're living in the mountains or honestly just anywhere, I feel like everyone is coming alive and they're like, yay, I have more energy. And you're craving, just like biking to the store or including it in more cross training. Do not forget that we also have a Subhub discount on Poseidon bicycles. And it is Subhub, and you use it at the website, and it gets you $150 off, which is a huge discount.
Yeah. Is this the X Ambition Gen 2?
I think it's the Drop Bar X Ambition Gen 2. So I got the Drop Bar, which is nice.
Nice.
So yeah, it's $750, and if you use our code, that brings you back
600.
$600 for a new bike. Easy. Easy. That's still a
So
lot of
there,
money,
there you guys
but like,
go.
yeah, there you guys go. So
Get
yeah,
some
use
nutrition, go
SubHub,
get a bike.
and that is PoseidonBike.com. All
Yeah.
right. Should we get
Lake
into some
Sonoma.
Lake Sonoma? Back. Let's rewind
Back to
back.
it.
Um,
Um,
Easy for
you
me
were
to
there.
cover. I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
All right. So beautiful conditions this year. Last year, I heard it was wet and muddy and slippery. When they started in the morning, I mean, the 50 milers, it was even a little chillier, but the marathoners, it was like 45 degrees and it was perfect all day. Like it got warm the last hour. But starting with the marathon, the course record on the men's side was run by no other than second place Western States finisher Rod Farvard last year. Again, it was wet and slippery, but Rod ran 3:14. The men's race this year, the top four men went under the course record, and Dan Jones ran 12 minutes faster. He ran 3:02, and when Homie was coming in, he just like looked like he was running a road marathon. It was crazy. Ryan Becker was also so like when I saw them at the halfway point, these four guys were all within seconds of each other, but it ended up going second. Ryan Becker, 3:04. Sven Koch, he's a German athlete on the Adidas Terrex team. He ran 3:06, so it was 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And then fourth place, since he was also under the course record, was 50 USA 50K champ from last year, Cole Campbell. So yeah, they all smashed it. We were kind of guessing they were gonna run fast because they had each other to run with and the conditions were looking to be better, but 12 minutes faster. And Dan told me he like didn't feel good. I think we're in for something special for Dan Jones at Western States.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I think that even Jacob Banta in fifth place, didn't he run like 3:15, which was only, I think, a minute off of Rod's CR?
Oh my
He
gosh.
was 3:15 or 3:16. It was very close.
That's so
So
fast.
the
Yeah,
dudes are
I
running
mean,
fast.
yeah, the dudes were cranking. He might have been like only a minute. I mean, that would make sense for sure. Just
Yeah.
seeing them in person. And then on the women's side, Lindsay Allison ended up taking the win in 3:46. The course record is still 3:41, but 3:46, very solid time. Jen Lichter ran nearly the same time a couple years ago. So Lindsay Allison really shaping up this year. Second place was Selena Langner in 4:01, and then we had Nicole Valentine in 4:05. And then there was the women's only half marathon. Yeah, I guess I'm saying that right. Catherine Leclerc smashed it. She was one of the women's part of the Adidas Runners LA. She ran 1:51:55, took it out from the gun. Second place was Chrissy Polenski in 2:03. And then we had Felicia Maquinales in 2:07. So yeah, hope we see more events like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love the all women's idea. And then down south, like way, way south, we had the Andes Mountains Marathon Sky Race this weekend. Um, it was interesting. There were a couple of like French athletes and the Russian Anastasia that went down there, but a lot of like South American athletes, which is why we've talked about this before. Skyrunner does have a ton of races and it feels kind of overwhelming at time, but it's super cool that they provide opportunities for these athletes in places that probably wouldn't have the opportunity to go to like France or something, but they get to race in Skyrunner and get points and possibly get support or help to get to these races in other countries. So, in first place, Damien Humbert from France ran 5:11:06. This is a marathon distance course. So, if I had to guess, this was a very, very technical and difficult course because you have somebody like Manuel Marias finishing in fifth in this race, and he's very good at technical running. In second, Jose Manuel Quispe in 5:11:08. In third, Joel Montoya, 5:12:40. Fourth place, Fred Trenchard, 5:16. And in fifth place, Manuel Marias, 5:21. And then on the women's side, Blanca Yumi Kinga in 6:07:17 beats out Anastasia Rybstova, who's kind of like been a very dominant name in the Skyrunner scene since she kind of hopped on midway last year. But yeah, Blanca beat Anastasia by just 2 minutes over a 6 hour and 5+ minute race. So Blanca in 6:07, Anastasia in 6:09. And then behind them in third, Rosalia Zagara, 6:36, Paola Morales, 7:42, and Annie Pinadar in 7:56. So that sounds like a hell of a race on the women's side.
Yeah, and like watching the highlights, they were this was like a true freaking mountain race.
Yeah.
Like they had so many layers and they're just like in the abyss that is the Andes Mountains. So for all of them to be that close for it being that long of an effort, is
Yeah,
pretty
and
freaking cool.
yeah, and I'm just now noticing I read the times, but Damien Humbert only beat Jose Manuel Quispe by 2 seconds.
Wow. I'm actually really surprised Manuel. Like, I just feel like he would thrive in this type of terrain, but maybe since it was like higher altitude,
Yeah.
but he lives pretty high. Yeah. I mean, it is a long travel too. But yeah, major kudos to Damien. Like, that's a pretty stellar field to come out on top of.
Yeah.
Sick.
And then
Desert Rats.
yeah, Desert Rats.
Yeah, so we had a Terex event, and then Skyrunner, and now UTMB, to no surprise. This was the first UTMB event stateside this year. In the 21K, no other than our favorite trail running couple. They're one of our favorite trail running. I mean, MK and Tommy too. We have Eli and Tabor Hemming, who both smashed it, taking the wins. Eli in 119, Tabor in 136. And then on the men's side, behind Eli was Taylor Stack in 122, and then Coleman Cragen, also 123. And then on the women's side, Janelle Links showed up, which is
Oh,
awesome. We love
I
a
miss
Janelle
Janelle.
race. We never know when she's gonna show up, but it's always a nice little surprise when she does.
Yeah.
Um, but she was second in 139, and then third place was Sydney Peterson in 140. And both of those podiums were swept by Americans. And then on the 50K, the first place male was Brian Whitfield. Second place was Grant Cooligan. The first place female was actually third overall, but the third place male was Austin Anderson. And it looks like Brian Whitfield had like a pretty sizable win on second place with 14 minutes. Um, and then on the women's side is pretty much who we called out, but Allison Baca was first in 3:57. Ashley Brossovin returning to racing. She's done a couple of races, but cool to see her back in 50K action in 4:10. And then the third place woman was Sophie Lennon, actually an Australian. Was that the woman we called out? No, we called out a French woman. Huh.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah. I wonder if she raced because we were talking about her because she was fourth at Canyons.
Yeah.
Sophie Lynn. I feel like maybe Sophie is a triathlete, possibly. I feel
Hmm.
like we're getting a lot of triathletes and we'll see. I mean, if this is the same Sophie Lynn, there is a Sophie Lynn Olympic Australian athlete.
Whoa. That's
But
fun.
oh yeah, triathlete. I wonder if this is the same gal.
That's cool.
A lot of triathletes live in Boulder, like in that
Oh, that's
area.
true. That is
So
true.
I could see Sophie racing desert rats.
It
Cool.
doesn't look like that French woman ended up racing, from what I can see. Yeah, she's not coming up. Cool. Well, welcome triathletes to the sport of trail running. Cool.
Trail running.
And
Yeah.
then last but not least, this weekend that we wanted to highlight,
Gorgeous.
Gorge. Is it gorgeous or
Gorge.
gorge?
I think it's Gorge Waterfalls.
Gorge
It used to be like,
Waterfalls.
I think it used to be Gorges before it came back, and now it's Gorge Waterfalls. But I always call it like three different things. So
Yeah.
we will briefly highlight the 100K because that was the first Team USA qualifier this year. Adam Peterman won the men's race, taking that first ticket for the men. Trayson Knopp had an amazing day out there, finishing not that far behind Adam Peterman for the second spot. And those two will be the automatic qualifiers for the long trail team in Spain in September. And then on the women's side, Shea Aquilano on a heater this year just won the Gorges race, got her ticket to Spain. Second place was Jade Belsberg, but Jade is Canadian. So Claire Rhodes finished in third, and she will get that second ticket to go to Spain in September. So super cool.
Yeah. And Adam took 30 minutes off of the prior course record, which
It's
is
crazy. But not
how.
that surprising.
Yeah, it's like not that surprising, but pretty sick fun fact. And I mean, it looked like they had ideal conditions because I feel like I've seen more mud on people. Like I still saw it, but it looked like a good, beautiful day. Did you
Yeah.
see those red, white, and blue tickets?
I honestly really
I
liked that.
know. I really liked them too. I'm like, what else can we make into a
We
ticket? Because
need we need those at Broken Arrow.
tickets everywhere. I
Yeah.
know. I hope they do that for Broken Arrow. I thought it looked so cool. It's just like a fun way to like celebrate you making Team USA. Yeah, I really hope they make them. It looks like I wonder who made them though, because yeah. Anyways, I thought those were super cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet it was either Free Trail or just Daybreak because I feel like they do. I mean, they do
do fun
really,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, good stuff with their races. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, we gotta go all out for the fact that we're the qualifier.
Totally. And just a reminder for the US mountain running team, if you are in that group that wants to try and make the long team, um,
I think
applications are due tomorrow.
Well, actually, by the time this comes out, it will have already been
Oh, Sorry.
Done. We'll post it on our story again. Hopefully you guys will see it before you listen to this.
Yeah. And we do want to mention again that it was really cool that Never Second was at Gorge because they are partnered with Free Trail. And so again, if you tried some at Gorge, if you talked to Bill or one of the reps that were at Never Second and you didn't get a chance to get as much as you wanted, or now you're Never Second curious, we do have our code, which is SubHub25, which gets you 25% off any and all purchases, not just your first one. So again, that's SubHub25. You use that at never2.com. And they aren't on the feed, so that's the only place you could buy them online.
Yep. But let's talk about the shorter races since that's what we're here for.
Yep.
We got to give the shout out to the US team, but there was a 30K race and a 50K race at Gorges as well. The 30K happened on Friday, the 50K on Sunday. And Anna Gibson, first race back, no surprise, absolutely smashes the race, runs 2:14 and finishes second overall. So she took off 3 minutes from Rachel Drake's course record, and that was Rachel Drake's course record from last year when she won Black Canyon and was top 10 at Western States. So pretty cool. And then she was followed up by
Camila,
Camilla
no.
No from Bend,
Yeah.
Oregon in 1:37, only 5 minutes behind Anna, and then Kristen Schindler in third behind them.
144. Yeah, and Anna is actually going to be doing Zagama next.
Sick.
Yes, she's not going to go to Asia for the Golden Trail World Series, which we'll be previewing here in just a couple of seconds, or for Japan. And so, yeah, she's going to try that marathon distance, which, I mean, I think this was actually a great race for her to select before Zagama, just getting used to like it being slippery and stuff like that. And then on the men's side, first place in the 30K was Nicholas Lightbody in 127. Second place male, again, Anna was second overall, but Joshua Taylor was second for the men, 133, and then David McKay, 133, and they had a sprint finish, which is always fun to see.
We love a sprint finish.
We love a sprint finish. And then we also had the 50K, where the men's record definitely was broken. Let's just double check that really quick. I remember. May
I
not
can
have.
talk results while you're looking. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So in first place, we got Joshua Potvin, 3:49.30. In second, Liam Mayrow, 3:52.40. And in third, Adam Loomis in 4:07.38.
And for Joshua, that was a 2-minute course record over Chris Meyer's course record from last year. And looking at his results, like he's always kind of been like in the top 10 of these 50Ks. So like Canyons was one that I saw, Chuckanut's like another one. And so it's really cool to see him like get a win. So more to come
Yeah.
from Josh, I'm
And
sure.
that's another pretty impressive course record because that was after Chris Myers got second at Black Canyon and also top 10 at Western States. So like,
There we
these are
go.
not slouch results. Way to go, Josh. And then on the women's side, Sarah Alabin won the race in 4:38. Taylor Bacon in second at 4:46 and Christina Randrup in third at 4:52. And Christina did do the double. I think she was in the top 10, 5 and the 30K and then was third in the 50K. So
Wow.
big weekend of training for Christina.
Yeah, congrats. That's huge.
Yeah. They should do, no, they couldn't do a Triple Crown. There's a
Oh,
100K.
yeah.
And never mind. Ignore
They
that.
All right. Well, congrats to everyone who smashed it this weekend. And we'll keep the rhythm going because this weekend we actually have the kickoff to the Golden Trail World Series back in Kobe, Japan. So last year was the first time they included any Asian Golden Trail World races. And this year they have kept Kobe as the starter. And then instead of going to, I forget where it was, but it was a sky race in China, they're actually going to go to the Great Wall of China where there's so many freaking stairs. But this week we're going to focus on Kobe. If you remember from last year, maybe you don't, maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast. What's interesting about Kobe is that it is in a flower format. So the athletes will do 4 loops. So they'll start in the center, they'll go out, come back 4 times before finishing on a final uphill. And from what we can gather talking to athletes, looking at videos, photos, etc., it is a very technical course. I mean, even last year, unfortunately, Allie Mack like rolled her ankle and fell back in the rankings. And then also, it's very, very steep uphills. And last year, MK and I predicted that the best downhiller was going to win. And it turned out the best climbers won on the day, which were Patrick Kipnego and Maud Mathis.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about Kobe is not only is it a flower format, but it starts at the top of like a mountain and you run down, up, down, up, down, up, instead of the opposite where you usually start at the bottom of a mountain. So you finish with these nasty climbs.
So nasty.
Yeah, super cool race. But so this year it's just going to be interesting in general, I think, to see who decides to commit to Golden Trail overall, because we've talked about this a lot on the pod this year. There is so much going on. Like, we've got Golden Trail, which now ends in like September, I think. Or regular season ends in August, and then I think they have a final in October. World Championships, people are trying to qualify for that. There's Skyrunner, there's UTMB, and all of the finals for these races are within like 8 weeks of each other, maybe less, maybe 6. So it'll be curious to see who chooses like World Championships or Golden Trail or UTMB. Like, there's way too many options. And this will be kind of, I think, our insight into who's trying to get points early, at least. Like, who's trying to get points in the first 4 races and then be done until the final.
Totally. And what's interesting too is like based off the list that we have compared to the posts they did even a week ago, like not even all those athletes are showing up, which makes me think like people are going to start doing like more on the week decisions, which makes it hard for a series like Golden Trail to like get people hype about, the athletes slash like the, I don't know how
Makes
to
PR hard for
it's like
sure.
it's like cast members, right? It's like who's
Yeah.
going to be at these races and stuff like that. So it's hard to get people hyped when people are like, "Dang, I'm gonna actually do Skyrunner this week because that makes more sense to me." Or I
Yeah.
actually am gonna
I
train
could make more
UT.
money at this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough. Nevertheless, we have a pretty somewhat confirmed list. So just men that are returning from last year. Patrick Nego, who won last year. We have Daniel Pattis, who was Petit's Italian runner, who we kind of have eyed as like a strong up and comer. He was fifth last year. Um, yeah, so only 2 from the top 10 are
So
returning.
wild.
And then on the women's side, we have a couple more. But we have Sarah Alonso, who was second last year. Joyce Nagiru, who obviously was ended up being the overall champion, who was fourth last year. Malin Osa, who was fifth last year. And then we have Takako Takamura, who is a Japanese athlete who was ninth last year. Um, so yeah, something MK and I noticed is that like a lot of athletes who did it last year, there's not a huge return rate. But again, I think that's for a plethora of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did get hurt. Even El Hussein, who was like one of the best
Yeah.
like technical runners that we have, like he got hurt racing at Japan last year and he still ended up second, but like uh or sorry, third, but didn't have the day that he wanted because of that. So, I think a lot of people were like, this is kind of maybe too big of a risk in April. Um, yeah. So, I mean, another top name to look out for on the men's side, Philemon Ombogo is signed up currently. Rui Ueda, who is a Japanese athlete, will be there. Looks like it looks like Damian Bogdan will actually be there, or at least he's on this list. Anders, who's a Norwegian athlete who's really, really good at technical downhill running, and Cade Michael is so far the only US athlete that I'm seeing that's
Oh,
like
and Liam
committed.
Miro, but he just ran the 50K, so I don't know if he's gonna fly out there or not.
Yeah. So we'll see. I
We
feel like
shall
the
see.
first like Golden Trail race, we're always like, who's gonna show up? And then
Yeah.
who's like committed to the rest of the season.
Well, what's interesting too is, I mean, we won't get into it, but just glancing at the men's Great Wall China list, there's so many more names. Um, and so
Probably
I
more
don't,
runnable.
yeah, I mean, there's hella stairs, but like, yeah, we won't get too much into it. But some of those names that were top 10 at Kobe are actually going to China instead. And so I'm wondering if they were just like, I want to try something new versus go
Yeah.
back and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, s-
predictions.
yeah. Um, I think on the women's side, I think Sarah wins it. Uh, Shoot, this is hard. I'm gonna go Sarah, Malin, Joyce.
Sarah, Malin, Joyce. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident Sarah's gonna win this too. Sarah's so freaking fit right now.
Girl's been
And
popping off in training.
she was second last year. I think of all the runners, her and Malin are probably the strongest technical descenders. Um,
Malin
so
was second last year at Zagama, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
So
Sarah wins it. Joyce maybe second, and then Malin in third. I don't know. Between them and Madalena, any combo, I think the only one I'm like feeling slightly confident is Sarah, but yeah, Malin's freaking good at technical descending too. So there you guys go.
yeah,
Some
and with
combo of those
Madalena, it kind of
four.
depends. Madalena and Joyce, it depends on the day. Like with their technical running, like Joyce was, still in the top five, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it'll be
And she has
interesting.
a whole nother year under her too, which is like a
Yeah.
huge confidence boost because that was like she had just started trail running the year before last Kobe.
Men's side, I think Patrick is like kind of I mean, unless he's hurt all of a sudden and we just don't know this, but I think Patrick is kind of just like a clear winner. I think Philemon does better at this race than he did last year, but I still don't know if he's like top three.
Yeah.
Um, I think
And
Damian Bogdan in second.
yeah, I'd say some combo of like Rui, Danielle Patisse. I think Danielle Patisse actually ends up
Hmm.
on the podium, and
Yeah.
David Bogdan is like near there. Oh wait, Joey is racing. Fudge. Okay, that's new. Um,
Okay, then I'm gonna go Patrick, Joey, Daniel.
okay, sick. I
Joey
think that,
Hedor and Daniel Pattis.
yeah, just like top returners, basically. Patrick,
Yeah.
Joey, Daniel. Yeah,
Because they all had consistent seasons last year, like after this race. So I have no reason to doubt them currently.
yeah,
Yeah,
sick.
cool. So yeah, Golden Trail's getting started. I am pretty sure that Free Trail has a fantasy for this. I'm gonna say 90% positive. I'm looking right now though. But other races that are happening, Skyrunner has the Sky Race de Methazines this weekend. We have a bit of a break in big races here in the US. But then we will have another UTMB race the week after. So yes, Kobe Trail and Great Wall are both on Free Trail Fantasy. So make sure you guys go in there and make your picks.
Sick. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, where we will recap the madness of these races and then preview canyons, which I think, wait,
And Great Wall.
and Great Wall China, which are two
Yeah.
races I'm really excited about.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next week. This has been the Sub Hub.